Alright guys, HyDra back again. So I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, with Toronto Ultra losing 2 back-to-back series for the first time in a very long time to FaZe and OpTic over the last couple of weekends. Big questions raised as to whether Ultra on a significant downhill spiral. Drazah seems to believe that he might have caused it from the start. The Drazah versus Scrappy beef that went down after their series. Drazah believes he might be living rent-free in Scrappy's head, and the team is not going to be the same as they looked at all come, well, back at Major 1 in Boston. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Couple of bits of drama here on challenges yesterday. We had Beans and the boys hit a reverse sweep against the OpTic guys. As he says here, we're not shooting bodies 2 up, are we? Hit them with the reverse sweep, come back to win 3-2. And in the end, actually, this was the series that closed it out. So yeah, those guys, I think they lost earlier on. They then went to play again in the finals. And this was a 3-piece that Beans managed to pick up here. It's kind of funny how this works, right? Because people don't want to share the strats. So we've got a picture of Looty here over the mini-maps. People can't see where players are. Although the Concaster is still there, so it's pretty obvious to see where the players are. But yeah, I don't know what's going on sometimes. At least it was broadcast, at least. So Beans with a nice little 3-piece here to win the cup. Of course, they've brought Harry into their team now, because it's Weeman, Vortex, Hixie, and Mythics on the other side. So Hixie, of course, is off those guys, you know, Team War guys, onto the OpTic team instead. They brought Harry into the mix, and with Bance, Denza now as well, of course, and these guys. So they made a few changes, really, from the team they had at the start of the season, but still good enough to get back on top in the European side. Cool for Denza as well. I don't know how many times Denza has retired and then come back to play it again, but cool to see him back on top, because he's been popping off on Twitter over the last few days. That tweet that he did to Drazah, I thought was pretty funny that we mentioned. There's also this, the 5th Challengers Cup is going to be rescheduled for only a few days' time due to kind of Easter conflict. So probably a good decision there, all things considered. I know that most of the pros are pretty happy about this, all the Challengers players pretty happy about this, but you know, FaZe are still involved, so there's going to be questions about the quality of the administration guys over there, as there has been for some time. Let's look at some numbers then, because Major 2 qualifiers are nearly at a conclusion. We've had 4 weekends now. There's one more weekend of qualifiers. Man, it is a pain at getting to all these sets of qualifiers, no doubt, going into the majors, but that's how they've decided to run it. These are the top 5 hardpoint KDs. Attach is right up here at number 5, then HyDra, then Simp. Pretty wild, right? The Nero and Attach are both top 5 hardpoint KDs this stage. Yes, we know they've had a pretty easy strength of schedule. Next week will be a pretty big deal, though, because they play Surge on this upcoming Friday. That's a big game. Vegas need to get those 10 points on the board. And this is what I'm going to say. Like, I think we know, realistically speaking, there isn't a team that's outside of OpTic, Toronto, New York, and FaZe that can actually win an event. So I think really the goal is for these teams, maybe make a Sunday would be nice, like Rocket did at Major 1, but also try and make the World Championship run. I think that's got to be the goal for some of these teams, because realistically, does Attach and Nero wake up in the morning thinking, all right, you know, here we go, here's the run, we're going to win Major 2? Like, maybe they do. It'd be nice to have that self-confidence, but I feel like it's just the reality of the league right now that is highly, highly improbable. But if Vegas could make champs, that'd be a big success, because they didn't make it last year. And it's definitely possible, I would say, as things stand. Search and Destroy KD is like this. Now, I will say for the Subliners, they have been slamming so many teams 3-0 and 3-1. They haven't even played that many searches because, yeah, haven't really gone to game 5s. But Kismet has a 2 KD, 1.97 so far at this stage, and they've played a fair few searches. So that is ridiculous. HyDra with a 1.5, Shotzzy with a 1.4, Attach is here as well. Like, he has been playing lights out for Vegas. aBeZy as well, I think he's had a big bounce back stage. This is Control, where we see the FaZe guys come to play. But look at Attach, man, so inspirational. This guy's number 5 again with a 1.26 in the Control. Skyz, and then we have 3 FaZe players, aBeZy, Drazah, and Cell. Remarkable to me that, you know, if you're going to tell me 3 FaZe players are the top 3 in the Control KD standings and Simp isn't going to be in there, I'd be like, what do you mean? But Simp does kind of continue to do it all for this team in some respects. He's doing a lot of the objective work, and it's not like he's bad at Control by any means. This then is your overall numbers. So just adding everything up and totaling it all. This is just pure KD, by the way. Like, I know that there was a popular stat, let's say Black Ops 4, called Adjusted KD, and it's still talked about sometimes. Effectively, Adjusted KD accounts for the fact that in Hardpoint, you get more kills than in Search and Control. So the point is that 1 kill in Search and Destroy, 1 death in Search and Destroy is worth X amount of kills and hardpoints, Y amount of kills and control, and then you kind of tally it up to come up with an overall number. Effectively, adjusted KD is just normal KD, but with a major search and destroy bias in play. So in some sense, I kind of prefer normal KD. I'm pretty sure if it was AKD here, Kismet would be number 1 or something, right? But Cellium as a 1.3. So, you know, standard procedure. It's funny, like, how predictable this is. Like, if I had to predict what KD Cellium would have this stage, I would say between 1.25 and 1.30. And there he is again. It's like, it's just absurd, the consistency. I don't think it gets talked about enough, to be honest. It probably does, but I mean, come on. Like, it's just, we are witnessing greatness to some level. But then when they lose the finals, he's going to get roasted, which they may or may not lose the finals. I think FaZe will, the way they've been playing lately, for sure be in the finals. It's just a matter of whether they lose the team in the finals. That at least is the way I look at it right now. If I had to pick an event winner as well, based on what we've seen over the last few weeks, I would take FaZe, because I think they'll be in the finals. I don't know what other team will be in the finals with them. So on the balance of probabilities, even if FaZe have like a 40% chance to win the finals or a 30% chance to win the finals, I just don't know who they would play in that final right now, the way the other teams are looking. And surely they got to win one eventually. Like, it's been quite some time since FaZe has actually won an event, or at least won a finals. They won Major 2 last year, right? FaZe. They won it in Boston. So this year Major 1 was in Boston, but maybe they're going to be Major 2 merchants yet again. HyDra, number 2 though. Big bounce back from him. Attaches 3rd overall KD. Shotzzy though. Here he is. 1.21. Of course, we talked about him earlier on today, and the discussion around him as a superstar level player and all the possible implications of that. This though was that big series yesterday. OpTic versus Toronto Ultra. Ultra now, though, 4-2. These were the numbers. If you guys didn't see the game 3, of course, that was the real standout performance there from Shotzzy. But if you look at Ultra, this is their first time in a long time. They've actually lost their last 2 games in a row. Yes, they played FaZe, they played OpTic. But you know, it's not like their games earlier on than that were completely dominant. You know, they obviously played Miami. They 3-0'd them. They 3-1'd Legion, but that was really close. Okay, Surge. And then they 3-2'd Minnesota Rocker in a pretty close fought affair, but I think it was a Karachi game 5, wasn't it? No, Invasion game 5. They dominated. The Karachi, they only just about got over the line as well. So I think Ultra have regressed somewhat. I think there's no doubt about it. Maybe LAN will be a different story, but the way that you play online does definitely reflect the way things tend to go on LAN. And of course, it's also no secret that Scrappy and the team don't seem particularly happy with this spawn update. They much preferred the game as it played during and before Major 1. The update arrives just before Major 1 happens. They don't play on that update until after Major 1 concludes. Then Skid Row Search and Destroy out of the map pool, the map that Toronto absolutely love. That's gone. Their map pool isn't as good as it once was. Like, if we look at the map records here, Skid Row, they've won every time they played it in Hardpoint. They won every time they played it in Search and Destroy. They love that map, but it's gone from the Search and Destroy map pool. They don't like Terminal at all. They played it yesterday against OpTic. Didn't work out in their favor. They're not great at invasion control. They're not great at high-rise control. And their Rio is pretty good in hardpoint, but their Search and Destroy maybe a bit suspect, right? So the way the map pool's gone, the game changes that happens going into Major 2 qualifiers, I don't think have helped this team. And I also think that there's some degree to which in their heads they're thinking, damn, like, you know, the game is different to what it once was. Maybe that's why we're not going to be able to be as dominant as we previously were. Or is there more to it than just that? Because we know that in those couple of series, FaZe, for example, they squared straight up on FaZe's best maps and got pretty much slammed in that series, a quick 3-0. Same thing in a way happened against OpTic. They played OpTic on maps where, you know, if Ultra really wanted to win that series and were taking it 100% serious, I don't think they would have chosen some of the maps that they did. Like, the Terminal Game 5 was strange. They could have played Invasion Search. That was definitely possible. Would have made a lot more sense, I thought. They didn't decide to do so. So, of course, I am really hoping that we get that rematch on LAN at some point or another, and it probably will happen at the Major, let's be honest, the way things are looking, because the way the seeding currently stands, it's like, let's say OpTic were to beat the Subliners next weekend, they will quite probably play Toronto in, like, winners round 2. Will be how the bracket tends to work out, but we'll see what happens. Now, Scrappy said this, GG's OpTic lost 3-2, those guys are real good. Now, what do you guys think about this? Because as far as I'm concerned, I saw this and I thought it's got to be sarcastic. Like, there's no way. I think most people are taking this at face value and saying, oh, Scrappy's actually being respectful. I don't think he is, personally. But, I don't know. What do you guys think about it? I read this as, like, he's being sarcastic. Because I think Scrappy's feeling is, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe I'm just seeing things. But I don't think I am, to be honest with you. Because I think that Scrappy and Ultra know that they approach the series in such a way that, you know, even going Game 5 with OpTic wasn't a bad result in some ways. But I don't know. Scrappy obviously gets along with those guys. We know that he's good friends with a lot of the OpTic boys as well. So maybe he's just giving them straight up credit. But, you know, he's definitely not saying saying something like this about FaZe, and if he said this about FaZe, he'd be saying it sarcastically, right? So whether that's true about OpTic, I don't know. He also said, I think it was on the flank, but the day before yesterday, when he was discussing Subliners being a good team, and he said, look, they're solid in scrims, this type of stuff. There also has been some debate on whether Scrappy's time with Ultra, like exactly how long he's going to stay on this organization for. Feels to me that Scrappy and Ultra are somewhat, been together for a very long time now, but he gets along well with the OpTic guys. Imagine a world in which, let's say Kenny, he's been good, I think, so far this season, Kenny. He was great at the start of Major 1. The last couple of weeks, Kenny hasn't been quite in the same spot, and maybe there's an argument that if OpTic next season don't have the performances they want, could they get Scrappy to fill that role? I mean, it would be possible, wouldn't it? But Drazah then throws the dagger in, because Ultra losing those 2 series in a row, and honestly, both in pretty dominant fashion. They got smoked by FaZe, and OpTic, the maps that OpTic won weren't close, the maps that OpTic lost were pretty close. So, okay, maybe not so much the map for hardpoint, but still, I think you get what I mean. Drazah says, what have I done? So we know all the drama that happened after that FaZe Toronto series. Scrappy talked about it. Scrappy said, I don't really mind what if we got 3-0'd, but I'm not salty about it. It was just online, enjoy your 10 points, and then he went on an absolute mega rampage and then had to apologize, and we know what happened if you guys saw all the backlash last weekend. So Drazah now dives in, what have I done? Basically saying, I've destroyed Scrappy's mental, this guy's in the bin, this team is in the bin, they are not the team that they previously were. And I feel like to some degree that may be true, but did Toronto get broken by Drazah? My perception is that Drazah might be reaching a little bit here in terms of exactly what has caused this impact, and there's probably a bit more to it than that. But nonetheless, it does make this very interesting going into the major, and Drazah is going to be absolutely committed to never losing to Scrappy again in his entire life, right? And, well, we'll see it come the major whether that happens, because this is the positive of having a very top-heavy league, is that we can pretty safely predict that in the winners' finals, in the winners' semi-finals, and certainly come the losers' finals and grand finals, it's going to be top 4 banger matchups, right? And thankfully, with OpTic looking great yesterday, it feels like we really do have a proper top 4 again, which is great to see. And it's tough to predict, as I said, who's going to win this damn event. I think FaZe will be in the finals. Outside of that, I don't really know. Just to have a look at this, by the way, I don't really want to comment too much on everything going on lower down because it's still it's very tight down here. And Champs qualification is going to be determined by the final major, right? Because there's still 100 points on the line for winning the final major, which, let's be honest, nobody's going to get of these bottom teams, but it's still one to look at. Subliners are 4th place. They are 12-3 series win-loss this year. Actually, a better win-loss in series than OpTic are, but, Subliners have played less series because they got bombed out of the major straight away. 12-3, that's what, an 80% series win record this season. Minnesota Rocker are 5th place, 6-11, which is, what is that, 6 out of 17, 6 out of 18 to be 33%, probably like 35%, 36% win rate. So that's the discrepancy, right? Subliners are at 80% series win rate, Rocker, 1 place below, 35% odd series win rate. Like, that just shows there should be a massive line here in this graphic comparing these teams. And I will say somehow, maybe not somehow, but Surge are still P6 here. They're still 6th place in the championship. I don't expect that to continue, but Thieves are making a move. I think Legion are going to be making a move. But below that, it's an absolute mess, right? The league is in such a strange state right now. Like, I don't think we've ever really seen anything quite like this. Maybe it was inevitable, really, given the talent discrepancies that we currently have. Did want to also mention this for you guys. Turtle has put together Ben J. Naseem's putting stats so far this year. I don't forget, or don't remember, when did Ben change to do like the 8-foot putt, not the 6-foot putt? Because I think he used to do it at the 6-foot line, and then he pushed it back all the way to the edge of the mat. I don't know if he changed that at some point. We'll also say, like, I know that he's doing it at home. There's no break on the putt or anything. But these putting stats, like 80% of putts made from, like 8 foot, it's actually pretty damn impressive at Ben Genesee, we're not going to lie. And until yesterday, he'd made every putt on the Sunday. But yeah, he missed yesterday's one. So this is the type of analysis that we want to see. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.